You said that before you actually start in the NKT, you do some movement assessments with people. Do you think you could share with some of those maybe pre-NKT assessments might be, like range of motion or movement or all those things?
Sure. So I try to maximize my sessions, right? So on my intake form, I have a lot of movement assessments, and I don't always do all of them with the client. So when the client comes in, if they're having a hip issue, for instance, I'll watch them walk. And if I start getting a ton of information just from the way they're walking, man, I'm done at that point. So I'm gonna put them down on the table and I'm gonna start just hammering the work that I think that I need to be doing on them. Um, I may have them do a couple more of complementary moves, like a squat. Um, but I find that there is so much information in gait, just watching your clients walk.
Mm,
It's rich, right? Because you're gonna watch their posture, you're gonna watch how they propel themselves, how they do or don't do certain things. So just out of just straight up having the clients walk, you get a ton of information. And then I like to look at basic things like where's their pelvis sitting. I definitely look at how they rotate. So I have them just standing and just doing a straight up rotation of the whole body. So feet
mm,
together, have them rotate, right? I should be able to see their shoulder coming from behind their back like that. So if they're here, I should be able to see this here. If they're here, they're missing it like some rotation.
okay.
Um, and I want to see their hip, their lumbopelvic complex go about half of the way of their thoracic, cervical rotation there.
Hmm.
And what I find is that most people don't rotate well at all.
Hmm.
It's a major problem with people.
Yeah.
So that the assessments that I pretty much do with everybody right away is gait and rotation. So and clients are not aware of that. So that's a great way also for you to get information. Like movement assessment is great because it gives you the practitioner information about what is going on with this client. But also equally important, I find, it gives them information about how they are moving or not. And right away is an empowering way to get the client to buy into the work. You ask the client to do a simple hip movement. I'm pretty creative in my work. So I come up with all these movements that I just do myself.
Hmm.
And I have the clients try to do them, and very basic ones or more advanced ones. And sometimes the clients can't even do a very basic hip movement, right, from one side to the other. So I have them sitting down on their butt, and then I just ask them to bring their knees to both sides to see how their hips move. And a lot of people can't move there at all. And so when they see me being able to do that, they immediately realize that they have a problem. They're like, wow, I don't like that. I don't like not having access. Nobody likes being limited. No human being is okay with, a client asking. So cervical assessment is another thing that I do. I ask clients to just move their necks around, right? And so I say, flex the neck down, extend the neck up, rotate your neck to one side. And so many people are so limited here.
Mm,
They can't rotate. They will go halfway. Instead of going all the way to 80, 90 degrees of rotation, they will just go halfway. And you're like, wow, how are you driving? How are you playing tennis? How, what
hmm.
I'm saying, if you can't rotate your neck. Um, and then the client will also be like, wow, I should be able to go all the way here. So I should be able to touch my chin. Yeah, but you don't. There's 3 fingers there. So we got work to
Hmm.
do. So the clients right away like understand that they have all these limitations.
Yeah.
And so when they go out and play tennis and then they start hurting, or when they go golfing and their back hurts, they're not going to expect a miracle from you and put this healer cap on you and say, well, I got to come here, Brandon, and you got to do your magic because you're so great and you're going to touch me and do this, what you do, and I'm going to feel great and go back to playing golf with no thoracic rotation whatsoever, right?
Right. Right.
So then the client learns that this is a shared road that we're going to walk together, and that they need to take responsibility over their movement. Otherwise, all these great corrections that we make, their bodies are still in jeopardy because they're trying to, practice a sport or engage in a physical task, that their bodies are jeopardized for that function. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I'm really big on that as well. I do not wear the healer cap at all. I'm not a healer. I'm a facilitator. Clients are coming in and I'm simply educating them. I speak my brains off the entire session, right? I educate them on everything that I'm doing, on everything that I'm seeing, on everything that I perceive that they should change. And I put it all on them, regardless of who it is, their personality. I put it right on them, the change that they have to do, everything from the way they're sleeping, right? Because sometimes I have to see a client how they sleep. Let me see how you sleep. And then you watch the clients how they sleep and you're like, well, no wonder what I'm doing is not helping you the past couple of weeks, right? And so, handing ownership to the client is going to help them with the results, and is going to help them buy into your work and just work better with you, so that you're not struggling against odds that shouldn't be there against you in the first place, or at least minimizing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been great to peek into how you use NKT with your practice. And I'm curious to hear what your practice might have looked like before NKT and sort of a comparison of how it looks like now from then. I think you could share that with us. Just what were maybe some like things you did back in the day that's like, oh, I would never do those anymore. I've learned from now.
Right. Yeah. No, it's always great to look back, isn't it? To just think about, where you were and where you are now. So, it's funny because I love the name that you gave this podcast of Test Don't Guess. Because that's what I was doing. I was guessing, I wasn't testing, right? I was just guessing all day long. I would see clients with these restrictions in movements, or a client who had knee pain during a squat or shoulder pain for an overhead squat or press. And I would just look to do correctional exercises and, apply some myofascial releases and do some activations. Like I said, I was playing around with these concepts of upper cross syndrome and lower cross syndrome. So if the client had poor posture and shoulder pain, I would say, okay, man, we need to be stretching this muscle and putting the ball in there, release. And then I would give them exercise to strengthen their back, right? I was going with that idea of short muscles tied, locked up, and they need to be released. Long muscles are weak, they need to be strengthened. I was just looking to reestablish balance in my clients. I just have the testing tool and the magnifying glasses that it is, the TL, the ability to touch the body and find connections, right? Because that's what the TL is a relationship tool, is a tool to establish relationships. We have all these tests. The TL is what connects them all, right? Mm-hmm. And so I didn't have the TL to the test and the TL. So I was just looking at the client, observing them moving, giving them exercises, seeing where they're struggling at, trying to come up with different strategies to improve their thoracic extension and rotation in order to help their shoulders and neck. I was just looking to structurally change the body, but I didn't have the tool to do it neurologically. So the work was actually fairly similar. NKT has just brought me this ability, this capacity to assess exactly what's happening, to be able to come up with a strategy that is fit to each client, rather than going around with this cookie cutter approach of saying every client that is here needs to have their pec minor release sort of thing. Now, even when we do the neural correction in NKT, that client should probably engage in a whole lot of movement to open their shoulders up. Mm-hmm. But you need to do the neurological correction to capacitate those soft tissues to engage in these functions that you're engaging, right? That you're asking the client to engage. So this corrective exercise and strategies are great. And then NKT just makes that perfect pretty much, because you know exactly what is it that you're assessing, what is it that you're correcting before you correct. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, Ty, thanks. It's been great. I have a couple more questions I want to ask you. One, are there any books or reading materials that really boosted your education in NKT, that once you read certain works or understood certain concepts in a book, it kind of helped you understand NKT a little bit better? And can you share what some of those writings might have been?
Sure. My whole background coming into NKT kind of make it a little bit easier for me. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different experience with NKT. Because I was already on to those lines of thinking, the very next day, I came back on Sunday night. The very next Monday, I started applying NKT right away, testing clients and having fun with it because it was fun for me and the clients. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the books that I have read up to that point were very classic books, like uh, not necessarily so much books. I would rather recommend ideas and principles than perhaps books, because then your listeners can look for different authors that they relate to better, different works
Yeah.
out there. But getting to this idea of motor control, um, reciprocal inhibition,
Mm-hmm.
right? Phasic muscles and tonic muscles. So I'll give you one book because it's right here in front of me. It's from one of my favorite authors, Joseph Muscolino.
Mm.
He's a kinesiologist, a massage therapist, and I believe he's a chiropractor as well. Um, and I had the opportunity to study with him many years ago personally. And he's a fantastic teacher, fantastic writer as well. So this book over here, The Muscular System Manual, The Skeletal Muscles of the Human Body, by
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Muscolino. Man, that book is just, it got it all in there. It's a kinesiology book, so it has all about movement, right? Looking at the body, looking at the muscles, soft tissues, and whatnot, the myoskeletal system through a movement perspective. Well, that's what we do in NKT.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to recommend like one particular book, it would be Joseph Muscolino's The Muscular System Manual.
Yeah.
A ton of goods in there. And then, man, there were so many books that influenced my practice. The AIS book from the Active Isolated Stretching from Aaron Mattis, right? I took a workshop with him prior to NKT, pre-NKT, and that book also influenced my career back a lot, back then a lot. Another one that I'm seeing here, Athletic Body Imbalance by Gray Cook, right? It's a great training book. But coming into NKT, even massage therapists or any other practitioners out there, they really need to understand kind of how the body performs, right? So Athletic Body Imbalance by Gray Cook perhaps can be a great book for NKT practitioners to familiarize themselves as well, to understand the pyramids, the way Gray sets up these pyramids of requirements for the body to have in order for you to have the next level of function in your body, things like that, because ultimately NKT is dealing with function.
Mm-hmm.
So and then there's a book that I would recommend people read as well because of the journey that it is in NKT. I don't think that just focus on anatomy books and in neuroscience and all of that, it's enough. In fact, I think that can be tricky because you can start overwhelming yourself perhaps with too much of this huge iceberg that it is
Mm-hmm.
neuroscience. And
Yeah.
so there's a book that I love. It's called Rewire Your Brain.
Mm.
And I can't remember the name of the author right now. John Arden, I want to say.
Okay.
Rewire Your Brain. And then I think there's a subtitle that says "Change Your Life by Changing Your Thoughts" or the way you think, or something like that. And it's a fascinating book. It shows how our brains are ultimately in command of everything, and therefore to change any kind of behavior whatsoever, you have to work with the brain. You know what I mean? Kind of like in NKT, we work with the brain to change the function of the muscles and optimize the neuromuscular function of the body. Rewire Your Brain is a book about how to optimize your life by tapping into your brain. It's the same thing, right? And so it gives you great wisdom. I know wisdom is something that comes with time. I said that on purpose, not just knowledge. It's wisdom, even though it's just a book. Knowing how to operate, at the best human level that you can yourself, it benefits anybody, but particularly in our work, because we're dealing with other human beings. And human beings are going to bring all kinds of complex, behaviors and personalities and so forth. So knowing how to best work with your clients by hacking their brain, just like we do with NKT, right? I mean, when
Mm-hmm.
we NKT is a brain hackers, right? That's what
Yeah.
we do. We literally hack the brain, no different than a software guy hacks a computer, right?
Mm.
No different. We are hacking the motor control in the brain. And so Rewire Your Brain is a book about how to hack your brain for anything whatsoever that you see fit, right?
Mm.
And so you might as well have access to the knowledge and work with your clients so that you're hacking their brain, their motor control in their brain to improve their neuromuscular function, but you're also hacking their brain to change their behavior so that they can do the self-care that you have prescribed to them, because otherwise it puts you in a tough spot to be the guy, the fixer, when their lifestyle jeopardizes all the good work that you're doing. It's not
Right.
fair. It's not fair to you as a practitioner.
Right. Mm.
And that can be tricky, right? Changing human behavior is perhaps the trickiest thing on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing how to hack their brain is a good idea. So I would recommend
Yeah.
that book as well.
Yeah. Okay, so Ty, just last question here. What kind of parting advice do you have for the students of NKT?
Sure. So, NKT is quite a challenge at first, but for people that really are taking NKT up on as something that they want to pursue and really get better at it, there's a few things that they could be looking for. First off is remember to have fun and enjoy the process. It's a beautiful thing. Discovery is a beautiful thing. It's a lot of fun. What's the fun in knowing everything already? I mean, there's a ton of fun in that too because you're just so good at it, and you'll get there. But it's very important to remember to enjoy the process as you get there. The more fun you have, the better you learn. It's fun to have fun. So the more fun you have, the more fun you have. And as we know, the brain doesn't learn well at all under stress. So to allow the the challenge that come in the beginning to overwhelm you, to get caught up in the idea that you don't know at all. Well, obviously you don't. This is a very, very deep waters. You just got started. So enjoy the process, enjoy the early stage. You're gonna cherish that later on. And the foundation that you're gonna be establishing at this point is critical for your long-term success. So enjoy the process, enjoy that journey of discovery, because at one point, you're gonna know a lot. And so this early stage of discovering things and making it your own, have fun with that process, and that way your clients will also have more fun as well, right? And so their nervous system will match yours. Their mirror neurons will sync with yours, and it creates that compounded effect for the whole experience. So now you have more fun, the client's having more fun, the sessions are going to be better for the clients, for you. You're gonna experience a lot better depth and efficiency that way. So remember that. I know at times it's challenging, but remember to enjoy the process. And remember that NKT is an art. It's an art backed by science. Everything that we do is extremely scientific in nature, but the application of it is very artistic. Everybody have their own. So remember to practice a lot, because as with any other art, whether it's painting, dancing, playing the piano, it takes repetitive practice and focused practice over time for you to accomplish higher and higher levels of proficiency. So you have to get your hands and feet wet. You have to practice. There's no way around it. Listening to podcasts like this is great. You're going to get a lot of tips, but nothing is going to replace the practice. When early on, when I spoke about testing at an arc, testing at a curve, so that you're following the line of action, the vector of action of the joint. It's one thing for you to hear that, but it can be challenging to apply that. So practicing it's everything, and then break it down, if necessary. So you say, today I'm going to practice the neck and the shoulder, for instance, because we know those two things go together. So if you're practicing one, you should be practicing both of those. The feet and the hips. So you can break it down the body into groups so that it facilitates your application a little bit, and you don't overwhelm yourself. And sometimes if you hit a wall, just regroup. Take your time to take a couple of deep breaths and ground yourself, and so that way you don't get overwhelmed by being nervous, and then, re-strategize things. You can ask the clients to, you can ask them a couple more questions. You can look up their charts real quick. You can do some palpation. You can have them get up and walk and observe them. Just do your thing. And then at the end of the day, if you still are stuck, then resort back to what you've done prior to NKT. You already had your art going. NKT is yet another skill level that you're bringing to the table. But if any given session that's not working out, then resort back to what you're doing before. So practice, break it down if necessary, and blend it in. What you should be doing anyways is to blend it in what you have been doing prior to NKT to maximize everything that you bring to the table with your own unique approach anyways. And then the next point that I want to make is to remember to grind and embrace that concept of grinding. There's no success in anything without grinding, right? So NKT is no different. You're gonna have to really work hard at it. Find a mentor. It makes an enormous difference. In anybody who is great at anything will tell you that they have a handful of mentors helping them through the process. It's much easier that way than to try to figure it out on your own. To have somebody that's been there, done that, right? Show you the ropes along the way makes an enormous difference. It could be somebody nearby that you have a close relationship with. It could be somebody further that you still establish and develop a relationship with. It could be somebody that they don't even know that they're mentoring you through their work, but you follow their work on social media, or you see what I mean? It's just the idea of having people that are much more experienced and knowledgeable than you at NKT, serving as a platform of knowledge and wisdom for you to draw from as you develop your own style of NKT, which everybody's going to have. If you watch 10 different practitioners, you're probably going to see 10 different applications of NKT, which is awesome. So find somebody that matches your style, or perhaps challenges your style, however you want to go about it, but find somebody to mentor you. And it could be one person, a couple of people, and then pursue that. And then participate in study groups if you can. Perhaps start your own if there's no one around you, but if you have, a couple of people that would come to you or that you can organize, but comes down to the idea of practicing. But when you're grinding, it's more than just practicing, right? You're hustling, you're pursuing, you're studying. And so, and having a mentorship makes a huge difference for your grind, experience, for that you really get out of it the most, because you're going to be putting all this energy into it. You want to get the most out of it, because then that will help you continuously feel good about your improvements and continue to carry you over and keep you hungry for more and more and more, knowing that you absorb material, there's more material for you to absorb, and understanding there's going to be a pace too, understanding where you can be in a couple of years by looking up to people that have been doing it for a couple of years. So grind your way through it, and then you see the results come. There's no other way around it. So along those lines of mastering NKT, right? So you're practicing, you are finding a mentor, you're grinding. You want to master the basics. Anybody who is a master of anything, what makes them a master of that is their mastery over the basics, the foundation, the fundamentals of what is that they're doing. Their mastery of the foundation and the fundamentals allow them to do that extremely well done. And then there's an effect from that, which is they get to do advanced things because they have mastered the basics. So they're going to do the basics better than everybody else. And then they're going to be able to do things that nobody else can even do because of their mastery of the basics. So really focus on that. Level 3 practitioners will tell you all day that a lot of what they do is still level 1. They just have a level 3 application of that. So really focus on mastering the basics, and that will give you an extremely good foundation. And then you can continue to grow in your practice, which leads me to my next point, which then becomes a matter of education, educating yourself as much as possible as well. So functional anatomy, kinesiology, and neurology are my recommendations. I see them as the foundation of what we do with NKT, right? So functional anatomy, kinesiology, and neurology gives you a great understanding of what is that you're doing, so you can start, expanding on your application. The more you understand, the more you're gonna be able to apply. If your client comes in and it's a real puzzling situation, you'll be able to understand things better. If you understand neurology better, of why the client is testing, in a particular way that day, which will allow you to calm down and then get back to your game and apply the things that you do. So get very comfortable with functional anatomy, with kinesiology, because everything that we do is movement based in NKT, so that you can become more efficient at assessing your clients and looking at them and testing them and making these educated guests so that you can test to create these hypotheses. And so you can follow through with the testing to make sure that, you're understanding the whole and not just the parts, which is what NKT is all about. And then you also help you give out your homework to the clients if you understand the whole better of functional anatomy and kinesiology, right? Because otherwise here you are trying to help the clients with fantastic work that you're doing in corrections, but the clients are go out there and the odds are stacked up against them, right? Their lifestyle is going to throw a ton of stress back at them. And so you need to help them cope with that. And that's how you do your homework. And you need to be efficient with that, because people don't have a whole lot of time that they're going to be giving to you, right? To be giving what is that to be doing what is it that you're asking them to do. So you need to be efficient. And so the better you understand functional anatomy, kinesiology, neurology, the more efficient you'll be in assigning quick homeworks that they can do to support the work that you're doing with them and help them progress. Which reminds me of a point that I forgot to make when I was talking about mastering NKT. Take all the classes in NKT. NKT is a multi-level method. It's not a one-time thing. There's 3 levels of NKT, and there's 2 assistive courses in NKT. One that Thomas Wells teach, which is muscle testing, advanced muscle testing, and muscle palpation. And then there is the homework class that Jackie Wu and I created for the class and are teaching it to make NKTs even better at the application of NKT. So take all those classes and repeat the classes if necessary. David is very gracious to offer a 50% discount on the basic classes. So, try to become an assistant if you can. Submerge yourself in the world of NKT so that you can become a student of the game, right? If you really want to do this, you need to become a student of the game. So the more active you are in the community and the more you're studying these things, the easier the work is going to become. And that's it. If you are pursuing these different aspects of NKT and looking at the whole of NKT. So I have the theoretical knowledge that I should be, studying. I have the application side that I should be practicing. I have the mentorship side that I should be looking up to. I have the grasp of the material that I should be embracing and studying all the different sides of NKT, taking all the classes. Participating in the community, trying to help others teach you so much as well. So trying to mentor others as well as you progress in your own journey. All of those things, being a student of the game, just like a student of the game in other games, approach their growth, right? So a student of any art is a student of the game, they take the holistic approach. So just like in NKT, we take a holistic approach to our client's body. In our NKT practice, we should take a very holistic approach and get our hands on it and practice and enjoy the process. The better we enjoy the process, the better results we have, the more fun we have, the more long-term sustainability we bring, so that the work, instead of the work and getting old and burning us out after a while, we actually continue to be stimulating and exciting to us throughout the years, right? So that's it. Just embark on the journey, head on. Don't become hesitant about anything. Have fun with it. Enjoy yourself, and just be able to look back as time goes on. It's going to be fun for you to enjoy your process of growth. So remember that.
Yeah, yeah, Ty, that's been so great. Thank you for all that advice. Well, it's really been a pleasure and honor to speak with you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Likewise, Brandon, thank you so much for having me, for creating this podcast, for allowing these opportunity for the community to interact through sharing, through listening, and that's going to have a tremendous effect on our community, man. So I appreciate you and your time. Thank you so much.